The rhythm of rolls at any tempo is important for getting hand speeds into a comfortable working range. After you have that, the character or tone of the roll is determined by the number of bounces on each individual stroke, which is going to create what I call the roll density. To find that, you take the tempo times subdivision multiplication we did for hand speed, and then you multiply that by 2, 3, or 4 or more bounces to find out what the actual notes per minute are. So for example, if we had our tempo at 100 beats per minute, we did 4 subdivisions, that would be 400 beats per minute for the hand speed. So if we multiplied that by 2 bounces per note, that would be 800 beats per minute for that roll speed. If we had 3 bounces on every note, that would be 1200 beats per minute. And if we had 4 bounces per note, that would be 1600 beats per minute. So here we have 100 beats per minute. We can play 4 subdivisions on every beat. And that's 400 beats per minute for our hand speed. Now if we play 2 bounces on every note, we get 800 beats per minute for the hand speed. If we play 3 bounces per note, we get 1200. And then if we play 4 bounces, we're going to get 1600. And this is where it's important to think about your listener. The human ear can perceive the individual notes in a roll up to about 1250 beats per minute. Somewhere between 1250 and 1350, depending on the person, your ear is going to give up on all of those individual pieces of data and simplify the whole thing down into a smooth tone. That tone is going to rise and fall in pitch to let you know if it's going faster or slower. Because of course the scientific word for pitch as it goes up and down is frequency, as in how frequently your ear is hearing those individual notes. Of course, we're familiar with this phenomenon from the sound of a car's engine revving and shifting gears. As you watch the RPMs go 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and then it shifts down 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and it shifts again. The pistons are pumping faster, so the pitch is going up in your ear. Any roll speed above about 1,300 is going to sound nice and smooth. Slightly below that, it's going to sound grainy and kind of light, where you can sort of perceive those individual sounds. And at a certain point, it's going to be obviously rhythmic, and you're going to be able to clearly hear each of those individual sounds. I'll start playing triplets at about 150 beats per minute and slowly slow down through those 3 phases, and you'll hear that as the space between the individual notes widens. To gain control over 2, 3, or 4 or more bounces, we need to hear the exact number of notes on each hand and how they smoothly connect. The 8s 2, 3, 4 exercise isolates each hand in time so we can hear how many bounces each hand is playing and match them between the hands. You will find the hands do not automatically match, and this can take quite a bit of practice to master, as it reveals little inconsistencies that are very difficult to sense in any other way. You want to play through at least 4 dynamic areas also, so that you're covering a full range of tones and the different bouncing characteristics of the different zones of the head. You're going to notice something I call the roller coaster problem. Once you play the first note in a set of bounces, each note wants to be a little lower. This is of course least pronounced in the 2s, where you can get them virtually identical, but the fall off in volume is going to increase into the 3s and be most pronounced in the 4s. You can actually hear a subtle pitch decrease as the level of energy going into the head on each consecutive note just lowers overall. I correct for this by emphasizing my arm weight to generate the energy of the first note and use the spring of my fingers to keep the bounces as smooth as possible. Some people actually go so far as to try a crescendo through the bounces by increasing their finger pressure as they bounce. And you can experiment with that as well if you like. In the end, this is too nuanced to control directly, so you need to set up a mechanical gesture that gets its energy from the arm and allows the fingers to spring. Then you instruct the ear to calibrate for a flat, smooth tone and allow it to finish that. I do recommend that you avoid using your wrists at all. Wrist motion is going to actually restrict the fingers from their optimum movement because the muscles and tendons back here that run your wrist are the same ones that run your finger. You can prove this very quickly. Just take your wrist and go up and down really quickly. Then wiggle your fingers quickly and feel how quickly you can move them. Now, wiggle your fingers and move your wrist up and down at the same time, and you'll find that the entire system gets out of whack. This is because as you move your wrist, you're compressing the carpal bones that these tendons are running through, attached back to the muscles. So when you're trying to do these sensitive motions with your fingers, you're also squeezing the tendons that are trying to do that work and just making the whole thing more difficult. Now we need to transition that smooth sound from hand to hand in time. The 4+4, 2, 3, 4 fill-in exercise adds a hand alternation to create a smooth sound. You'll find the single hand bounces are probably a little too tight, which is normal, and they're going to actually have to widen to blend from hand to hand. So for example, on the 3s, that usually comes out in a kind of duple spacing, 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and, but to get it to go smooth, it's actually going to have to widen to a triplet. Try to maintain the alternating feel of that widening triplet through the single hand notes that follow, and hear how much wider they suddenly are. This awareness of space is what helps your ear to calibrate rolls beyond your active control and take you to your highest level of execution. Again, playing through at least 4 dynamic areas while you do this is important to get that touch and sensitivity in each of the zones that you're going to be playing in.